Haugen does not let up. If there's one thing Ellen Hildebrand knows how to do, it's write a book that makes me cry. You know when you start reading a book and you're like, oh, this was written specifically for me. Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Elena, I'm a 30-something living in Philadelphia and I love to read. This is going to be one of my last summer reading vlogs of the year. If you haven't already watched my first summer reading vlog, I highly recommend going back and checking that out so you understand how the bingo board works. But in this vlog, I am wrapping up my summer with a bunch of East Coast road trips, all while keeping up with my reading goals. Not to pat myself on the back too much, but I think I did a really good job this month staying dedicated to my reading goals, getting things done at work, and connecting socially with family and friends while traveling a lot by car. Despite having a very busy past few weeks, I managed to get through 4, technically 5 books, and I am excited to share the journey with you. So without further ado, let's hop into the vlog. With my 100-page update of Summer on the Bluffs by Haugen. This is going to be my second chance read for my summer reading bingo board because I started to read this book maybe 2 summers ago, right before I went on vacation. And then on that trip, I ended up reading different books, and when I got back, I just didn't pick this one back up. And now that I'm deep into it, I have no idea why I didn't finish this the first time around. This book has everything that I like in a book. It's got a beachy, picturesque, opulent kind of setting on Martha's Vineyard. We also have some of the story taking place in New York, in some areas that I'm super familiar with. It essentially follows the story of 4 young black women just trying to be successful in America in various different ways. The structure of the 4 main characters though is that we have Amelia, or Amma, who's kind of the matriarchal figure here. She's one of the first successful black traders on Wall Street. She acquires a lot of wealth. She meets a wonderful husband. They buy this opulent cottage on Martha's Vineyard, which is really like a sprawling estate. And as they age, they don't have children of their own, so they become mentors to 3 other young black women, Perry, Olivia, and Billy. And so where I'm at in this story now is we're getting backstory on all 4 of them. So we're kind of following Amma's early career. We're getting some backstory on Perry's adulthood, as well as the teenage / young adult years of Billy and Olivia. The gag is Amma is ready to leave her cottage to one of these 3 women. So she invites them as adults to have a summer on the cottage, just like they did when they were young girls. And at the end of the summer, she's going to bequeath the property to one of them. They all want it, obviously, but they all are kind of keeping secrets, even Amma, and I'm not quite sure what those secrets are yet, but I'm so invested in all of the characters that I cannot wait to find out. I have a full workday in front of me, so now that my morning reading is done, I'm probably going to listen to the audio while I commute back and forth, but I'll give you guys an update when I have some more to share. I've had to read the same page like 4 times because I cannot believe what I'm reading right now. I am tired of love all the secrets. The twists and turns that this book is taking is not how I wanted to spend my Friday morning. I did not emotionally prepare. I didn't. Here with my final thoughts on Summer on the Bluffs by Sunny Hostin. I finished it this morning before work, and man, oh man, that was kind of a mistake. The last 100 pages of this book is when all of the family secrets become unearthed. Amma has been sitting on decades-long information about Perry, about Billy, about Olivia, about how Amma and Amma's late husband are kind of really deeply interwoven into the lives of all three girls beyond the mentorship that they have offered throughout the girls' life. And it is a doozy, man, and it is just punch after punch after punch. Miss Hostin does not let up. I found the ending of this book has left me feeling kind of similar to the way that I felt when I finished Barefoot by Ellen Hildebrand. It's one of those stories where everyone accepts their history, everyone accepts the consequences of the choices that they've made, and just decides to make peace with it and move on. It's not tied up in a perfect bow by any means, but it does come to a conclusion of sorts. There are 2 more books in this series that I definitely want to check out, but I don't know that I'm gonna jump into them right away. I'm kind of not sure how I want to handle my bingo board right now. I could jump into the next 2 books in this series and use that as my trilogy. My other thought is that I could finish a trilogy that I've already started. Trilogy is maybe a loose interpretation here. There are 3 books out in what I think is a 5-book series. Oathbound by Tracy Dion. I started it maybe 2 weeks after it came out. My bookmark is still in here. I maybe got through, I don't know, 20 pages of this book. But I think it was just too much for me to process the first time that I picked it up because I just finished Bloodmarked maybe a month prior to Oathbound coming out. So this is kind of what I'm debating between, but honestly right now I think I'm too emotionally drained from the book. I'm too hungry. I've got to focus on my workday. So I will make a decision on which book I'm going to start later today, and I will let you guys know. Okay, hello. It's been several hours. I went out to dinner and got some ice cream with a friend. I'm having this lemon flavor, and it's not lemon sorbet. It's like lemon ice cream. It's kind of giving like lemon cake, lemon pound cake vibes. It's so good, but I'm still conflicted on what I'm going to read next. I think I've abandoned resuming the trilogy for Summer on the Bluffs as well as picking up Oathbound. It just doesn't feel like what I want to do this evening. And since I don't have anything early tomorrow, I think I finally want to tackle Up Till Midnight, since I know that if I go to bed late and I want to sleep in, it won't ruin anything for me. So I'm gonna try out 2 kind of like cozy fantasy vibes. My first choice would take care of Up Till Midnight, Short King, and Duology, because this right here, Monk and Robot, is actually 2 books squished together. A Psalm for the Wild Built and A Prayer for the Crown Shy. It's about this like civilization of self-aware robots that one day like walk into the forest and disappear. And then one day a monk living in a private community encounters one of the robots, and the robot can't leave until the monk answers the question, what do people need? And so it's a 2-parter, but the whole book altogether is a total of 294 pages for 2 books. So I'm counting this as my Short King Duology Up Till Midnight, assuming that when I pick it up and start reading, I'm gonna like it. If I don't like it, then I'm gonna do Up Till Midnight Library Dragons and read Baby Dragon Cafe. So I'm gonna start this, and I will give you guys an update on either this or Baby Dragon Cafe, depending on how things go. Hello, this is Elena from the future who is currently editing the vlog, and I realized I didn't give any context as to why I was on Long Island, why there's so much b-roll, and why I sporadically changed books in the middle of filming. I took my birthday week to come to New York, spend some time with friends and family, so we did lots of book shopping, I went thrifting, I got to go out to the Hamptons to see one of my really good friends from college. And so I was just spending a lot of time outside doing stuff. I also forgot to bring Monk and Robot with me, so that book was in Philly, which meant I had to start a new book while I was on Long Island getting in some beach time. So I started The Blue Bistro by Elena Hildebrand. But before we get back to the book content and reviewing, I will show you some of the fun places I went on Long Island to enjoy the last bits of summer. As I showed you guys, I started Blue Bistro this morning on the beach. You know I love an Elena Hildebrand story. You know I love a foodie story. So this feels just perfect for one of my last reads of the summer. I got through the first chapter and a half this morning on the beach. So far, the narrative is humorous as expected. Beautiful language about food as expected. Large and diverse cast of characters where potential for drama is rampant as expected. So I know I'm gonna enjoy this one. I'm heading into the city now, so I'm gonna listen while I drive and we'll see how far I get. Between the drive there and back, I should be able to do some good listening. So I will catch you guys up when I have another update for you. Okay, hello, good morning. We are back in Philly. I was just doing some reading this morning and I got to a point where I got so emotionally overwhelmed I had to close the book. So I decided it's a good time to make my second cup of coffee for the day. My thoughts on the book thus far is that I am still very much enjoying it. I think if you're a fan of The Bear, you will probably like this book because similar to The Bear, it's about a restaurant and there's a lot of foodie elements, but really it's about complicated relationships in a high-stress workplace, morally gray decision making, and what it means to be family even if you're not tied by blood. I'm just gonna move away from this sheen while I bruise because it's so loud. What ended up making me need to pause and take a break is that we have two characters who are discussing a romantic entanglement between two other characters, and it's really messy. The two people who are involved are lovers. One of them has somebody that they're married to, but the person they're married to is also having an affair. Like, super, super messy. So our two primary characters are having this conversation, and the woman asks the question, well, why don't they just leave? Why don't they just end the marriage? And our male main character says, so-and-so would never do that. They'll never leave their partner for someone who they don't have an actual future with. That would take a hero, and so-and-so is not a hero. And like, that's tea, but that really hurt to read. I can't even really explain why, because I agree, and I realize this maybe doesn't make sense unless you have the context of the characters in this book, so you should definitely read it. But I think what really struck me is the complexity of it all. I think it's really easy to feel like there are good decisions, there are bad decisions, there are good people, bad people, good choices, wrong choices. And in some cases that's true, but I think that Ellen Hildebrand does a really great job of reminding us that most decisions fall in a gray area. Neither inherently good or inherently bad, but maybe just the best possible decision a person can make at a particular time. Okay, the machine is done. Also, since we last checked in, we learned that one of the main characters in this book has a terminal illness. And so that is adding a new layer of complexity to all of these dynamics. It's just really such an interesting book. Someone in my TikTok comments said that this is a book that, unlike Ellen Hildebrand's other books, is not heavily focused on the romance, but it's more a book about relationships in general. And I fully agree. I think if you've read other Ellen Hildebrand books, you know that she tends to weave in some family plot, some intrigue, a lot of mess and drama, but there generally is some sort of romance brewing. And that's not to say that's not present here. I would say in some ways there are multiple romances brewing, and because of that it feels less like a romance. Because their traditional romance is focused on the love story between two people, but this is a focus on love stories between a lot of different people, so it really is just broad relationship. So now that I have emotionally unloaded, I'm gonna drink my second cup of coffee, get back into this book, and we will see if we can finish this today. Write a book that makes me cry. Every single one. Every single one. In a way that is both expected and unexpected. It's difficult to describe without giving away the whole plot, but like I mentioned, there is a character with an illness. Obviously that has come to a head, but there's like this other part that's kind of just been simmering and boiling harder and harder as the book has gone on, and it just went in a direction I didn't foresee, but perhaps I should have. Perhaps I should have. This is messy in a classic Ellen way, and I feel messy is the best way to describe it, but it's not messy in the sense of it's catty, it's petty. It's messy in that it's complicated and raw and very, very real and painful and tragic. It's everything. It's an emotion sandwich. I have 19 pages left. I think I'm gonna read them off camera because I am a wreck. Okay, hello, hi. Thank you for your patience with me yesterday. I'm here to give my final thoughts on The Blue Bistro by Ellen Hildebrand. Like I mentioned last night, I have yet to meet an Ellen Hildebrand book that does not make me cry, and this was no exception. And as you saw, I really loved the experience of reading this book. I appreciated the found family element, I appreciated the foodie element, I appreciated the complexities and all of the relationships between our characters. And obviously it made me emotional, which also usually gives a book a couple points in in my book, because I love a book that makes you feel something, and I love a book that makes you think really critically about the human experience, specifically in how we behave in relation to each other, whether that's people who we have blood relationships with, whether that's people we've known since childhood, whether that's people we meet in adulthood and connect with really quickly. I think this does a great job at illustrating all of that. I am giving this book a solid 4.25 stars, maybe 4.5. I can't even articulate why this wasn't a perfect 5 stars for me. As I was reading, I thought it was really going to be, but I think the thing that knocks off a couple points at the end is that I found the ending to be a little unsatisfying. I've described in Ellen's books before that typically things don't tie up into a perfect bow at the end. Usually we have some messy endings. And that's the case here, but the messy ending was really between our primary male and female main character. There's kind of a lot left open. We don't really know what's gonna happen to them once this summer is over. I also am not sure I feel satisfied by the way that their final conflict was quote unquote resolved. I'm not even really sure it was resolved, and I feel like I wish we got to see that fleshed out just a little bit more. Basically, after the third act conflict, there's a long gap between when the male and female main characters see each other. So she stays on Nantucket, he goes across the country for several weeks, and basically on the day that she plans on leaving the island for good, he comes back, he says he's sorry, she has already decided she's forgiven him, and then they kind of decide to just go to breakfast together and decide what their next steps are. And to me, that was deeply unsatisfying as a reader. Now, do I think that that is a critical first step in mending a relationship that has just been through some turmoil? Yes. But also, then what? That's what I wanted to know. So that's where it lost a little bit for me, but overall, I loved this book. I have yet to meet an Ellen Hildebrand work that I don't like, and so this still makes my list of one of my favorite reads of the summer. As far as my definitive ranking of Ellen Hildebrand books that I've read so far, I think it's still gonna go 28 Summers in the #1 spot. Number 2, I'm probably gonna put The 5-Star Weekend. I really liked that one. The question is, did I like this book more than I liked Barefoot? I think I do. 28 Summers, 5-Star Weekend, Blue Bistro, Barefoot. If you're an Ellen Hildebrand girl, let me know which of her books I should read next. But for now, I'm going to shift my focus back to The Baby Dragon Cafe by A.T. Qureshi. I actually started this book last weekend when I was doing some chores around the apartment, and I wanted to listen to an audiobook to kind of get me through all my tasks. And it is such a perfect book for me. You know when you start reading a book and you're like, oh, this was written specifically for me. That's how I feel so far about The Baby Dragon Cafe. This is about a woman who lives in a magical world where there are dragons, there are griffins, there are all sorts of magical creatures, but in her town specifically, dragons are the creature that the royal families have there. Royal is probably not the right word to use, but there are special families who are dragon families. So this woman lives in this town, she recently lost her grandmother, and she opens up a cafe where people are welcome to bring their baby dragons, which is a novelty in the town because when the dragons are babies, they are unruly, they're hazardous, they're breathing fire everywhere, they're untrained. But our female main character has a really nice way with these dragons, and so people come to the cafe because they're so happy to have a space where they can bring their baby dragons. And so she encounters the son of one of the dragon families who has a very, very poorly behaved dragon, at least in his eyes. Or when the dragon is with him, it's very poorly behaved. However, this dragon has a special connection with our cafe owner, and so she offers up her services as a dragon trainer. And he's kind of like a surly male main character. He's shy, he doesn't like to talk to people, he's got some family trauma that he's trying to work through, but he was always kind of this way. But something about her makes him want to say, yeah, please train my baby dragon. I would love to secretly have an opportunity to come see you more often. So I'm at 20% of the way through the book now. They've started their dragon training lessons, but our female main character is a little upset because the dragon's dad doesn't like to come to training sessions. He's very much like, you take this dragon, you do your thing, I don't need to do my dragon bond, like, you got this. And so right now she's trying to scheme a way to try and convince him that he needs to be part of the training. So I'm very excited to see where that goes. I love all of the side characters. I love the cozy feeling that I'm getting when I'm reading this book. I love that there's a sprinkle of a magical element without really being a full-fledged high fantasy that you have to think through really hard. It is just perfect to me right now. So that's probably what I will pick up reading next. I listened to it while I was getting ready today, but since I'll be out for a couple hours, I probably won't get to it again till this evening or tomorrow, but I will give you guys another update when I have one for you. 1 Lish Grooves. 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 1 Li good. She's strong. Okay, hello. I wanted to give you guys an update on the Baby Dragon Cafe because I'm maybe a little over 100 pages into it so far. Our main character, Saphira, has successfully convinced Aiden to participate in the dragon training lessons, which has just been delightful as a reader because now we get to see all of these stolen moments between them in the garden. We see the tension slowly start to build. We see them have some humorous moments together. You're just giddy and giggling and swooning, and it is just delightful. The main dragon character, Sparky, is also a feisty little thing, and I love him. And I just love how our main character Aiden is really starting to come out of his shell for the sake of building a connection with Saphira. He definitely prefers to socially isolate. Aiden by nature is a reclusive character. He really likes to keep to himself, but now he's participating in these dragon training lessons with Saphira, which means he's spending a lot of time at her cafe, working in her garden, interacting with the people there, including one of her very best friends. And he catches himself at first being not so kind to her best friend. Not that he's mean in any way, he just kind of is abrupt with her. And he immediately clocks himself on it and says, oh, I need to be nice to her friend because I want her to know that I'm making an effort. And he does that very same day, to the point where the best friend notices, tells Saphira about it, and then they both knowingly kind of look at him like, okay, yeah, you're doing a good job over there, bud, keep it up. The other piece of this that I really liked is that there is a piece of Saphira's family history that is unknown to her, but Aiden actually has some information about it. And so when they have a private moment together, he brings it up and shares with her because he says that he doesn't want to have information about her that she doesn't have about herself. At first, she is a little embarrassed when Aiden brings it up because it's uncomfortable to hear this information about your family. It's uncomfortable to know that other people in his circle all knew about it and she didn't. But what she quickly gets to is that she appreciates that he brought it up right away to her in a private space so that they could kind of process it a little bit. And so I just loved all of that. So I have a little time to myself this afternoon before I go out tonight, so I'm gonna sit on the couch with my coffee, get through a little bit more of Baby Dragon Cafe, and I'll come back at you guys when I have another update for you. Stunned by her beauty that he dropped the gardening shears on his toes. Okay, hello. I wanted to give you guys a quick update on the Baby Dragon Cafe before I head out to work. I'm a little over halfway through this book so far, and it continues to just be very cozy, very sweet. It is a technically romantasy, but I would say it is very, very, very light on the fantasy and more heavy on the slow burn romance. Basically, the only magical element here is that there are dragons. That's pretty much it. There are also certain families who come from dragon families, and there's a like dragon council of royals, but again, this has no impact on the plot aside from telling us where our male main character's family is from. But the romance between Aiden and Saphira continues to just make me swoon. I feel like every single chapter something cute happens where I just go, oh, so sweet. Every single time. She has met his family, they get along swimmingly. He is making her a garden because she wants to beautify the space in the cafe. She also doesn't eat vegetables, so he's like, here, have a vegetable garden, or take these pills, you need to nourish yourself. He encourages her to hire more staff at the cafe so she can take a break. She gets sick because she is overworking herself, and he fully takes care of her in that moment and sets up a long-term plan to help her take care of herself going forward. He's a dreamboat. Point blank period. However, we do have a lot left in this book, so I'm a little bit nervous to see what sort of conflict arises, but I'm loving it. So I will check in with you guys later on today. hello, it's the... Okay. Hi guys, it's the next day and I'm coming at you because I have finished The Baby Dragon Cafe. This is a solid 4-star read for me. I loved it. This is low stakes, it's cozy, it's a slow burn, it's low spice. This is one of those books that makes you feel like you are just wrapped up in a warm hug. It's very low stress, very low cognitive demand, but it hits all the swoon-worthy awe moments that you want in a romance. Very light on the fantasy, you don't have to do a ton of thinking, you just have to know that dragons exist. It kind of feels the way, to me, it feels as an adult now to watch a kid's show. So like if I'm gonna sit down and watch an episode of Little Bear or Franklin or Winnie the Pooh, it just gives you that nostalgic comfort feeling, and even though there are low stakes problems, they're gonna get solved and you're gonna feel very satisfied by watching these people solve them, and that's how I feel watching The Baby Dragon Cafe. To me, I think this book makes me feel the way that everybody else feels about the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. Like it's just that cozy, atmospheric fall read. And for me, it's this book. Pumpkin Spice Cafe, I absolutely despise. But this book right here, I love, and I can't wait for the sequel. I think it's The Baby Dragon Bakery. So now that I'm all done with this, I'm actually gonna jump back into The Monk and the Robot by Becky Chambers. I had started this maybe 2 weeks ago, but I ended up pausing because I went to New York last week and I came back and the book was here. So I am gonna pick up in the first half of the duology. So I'm on Psalm for the Wild Build still. The Monk and the Robot have encountered... Oh my god. The monk and the robot have encountered each other, and the robot insists that it will not leave the monk alone until it gets the answer to the question, what do people need? And the monk feels ill-equipped to answer this question, so we will see how this story progresses, and I'll give you guys an update later on today. Hello, I am back to give a quick update on Monk and Robot by Becky Chambers. I was working on this a couple weeks ago, but then I put it down because I went to New York and I was reading the other books that I showed you guys, but now we are back at it. And I am about halfway through book 1, which is A Psalm for the Wild Built. Our monk and our robot are starting their travels together. They are having some philosophical conversations about what it means to have agency and dignity. They're having conversations about object versus animal and how we tend to personify objects as a way to kind of elevate their status. And the robot says, you don't have to do all that. Like, I am a robot and I'm fine with how I am. And they make this comparison between like ants and humans and stating how the mechanism by which you solve problems and create worlds doesn't necessarily add or diminish your value. They gave the example of like, if you study ants, they're actually very logical creatures, even though their brains work really differently than humans, which I thought was just very interesting. So they're definitely getting into it from a cognitive standpoint. They're getting into it from an adventure standpoint. They're about to go trampling through the woods, quite literally off the beaten path. And our monk is like, I can't do that. There's no path there. Like, I can't walk there. And the robot is like, how do you think paths get there? People have to start walking. So we'll see where this takes them. I am really enjoying it. And I have another drive ahead of me today and tomorrow. So I think what I'm gonna do is shift over to audio and see how far we get. apologize if it's a little too bright for you to even really see me, but I am almost done with the first book in this duology, so I wanted to give an update. I did not expect this book to be so philosophical, but I probably should have given the premise. But as I was listening while I was getting ready, I wish there was a way to highlight while you're listening to an audiobook on Hoopla, because I feel like there were so many good nuggets of very, very beautiful writing that I'm definitely gonna have to go back in my physical copy and highlight. But I'm continuing to have a good time. There's some nice back and forth between our monk and our robot. They're just two pals on a journey and I'm loving it. So right now they have stumbled into a temple. So I'm gonna do a little bit more listening, but then I am going to a baby's birthday party. So I will touch base with you guys when I have some more to share. Hello guys, I'm back with another car update because I'm on yet another road trip, but I wanted to give you a quick reading update. As I've been driving, I've been listening to A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers. Similar to A Psalm for the Wild Built, I'm really enjoying it. It's very light, whimsical, cozy, while also being very thought-provoking and inspirational. Specifically in this book, we're getting a lot of messaging about what it means to kind of disconnect from technology a little bit and really connect with what makes us people. I realize the irony of this as I'm listening to it in audiobook format while I'm driving a car, vlogging the experience, and then later editing a YouTube video. However, I will say that the last few weeks especially, although I have obviously been spending time online, I've been doing a lot of time just being present in my real life as well, traveling up and down the East Coast, seeing friends and family, being really present at work, nurturing my new and old friendships. Like, I've definitely been connecting with humanity off screen and in some ways on screen. So I think the dedications of both of these books ring true. If you are a person who needs a break, if you're a person who doesn't know where they're going, if you're a person who feels like they could benefit from maybe some disconnection from tech and connection with humans and connection with nature, take this as your sign to do so. But I'm at a truck stop now. I have about an hour left in my journey, so I got a late afternoon coffee and a snack. Comment down below if the Dunkins near you sell sour cream donuts, because the ones by me do not, but the one at this truck stop has sour cream donuts, so I grabbed one of those because I love them and I don't get to have them that often. The last thing I will share is that this is my second time ordering the cereal milk coffee from Dunkin'. So I've been doing an iced coffee with the cereal milk. The first time I did it, I also got it with some brown sugar syrup because I wasn't sure if the cereal flavor would really come out or if it would be very sweet, because every time I make cereal milk, it's not actually that sweet. I can't say with confidence that I like it. I think I need to try it one more time with a turbo shot, because really it feels like I'm just drinking a cup of milk with like a hint of flavor, but I can't even really identify what the flavor is. People say it's marshmallow, but to me it's not giving marshmallow. So I think I may just go back to my usual, but I'm gonna hit the road, I'm gonna listen to my book, and I will come back with an update when I have one for you. quick check-in from the car because I'm at Wawa. It's the next day and I finished A Prayer for the Crown Shy. I will give my final thoughts when I get home because I'm looking now and it looks like everything is so washed out from the sunlight. So I'll give you guys an update when I'm back in Philly, but just wanted to pop in. I got my Wawa essentials. They do have the pumpkin coffee out, so we are officially in fall now. Also, the fact that my hair stayed pretty straight over the course of the weekend, an indicator that fall is upon us. But I got my sandwich. I also picked up a bag of my most favorite chips ever that I basically only buy at Wawa. So I'm going to pick a new book to listen to that'll probably go in the next vlog. And I will see you guys when we are back in Philly. We are finally back in my apartment, so I wanted to give my final thoughts on The Monk and the Robot by Becky Chambers. I think overall as a duology, I would give this book that's in my hands 4 stars. However, if I'm going to rate the books separately that comprise this duology, A Psalm for the Wild-Built would get 4 stars, and A Prayer for the Crown Shy would get 3 stars. While I appreciated that A Prayer for the Crown Shy continued the story between sibling Dax and Moscap, and we got to see them go on more adventures together, we got to see them ponder what it means to be human or what it means to exist in the world as a member of community. To me, it just ended a little too abruptly, and maybe that's because I liked the story so much I wanted more, but I didn't find the ending to feel satisfying. It finished and I was like, wait a minute, we have more to do together, me, Dex, and Moscap. Like, what do you mean the book is over? So do I recommend it? Yes, I think it's a great, light, easy read. I would categorize this as a cozy sci-fi kind of speculative fiction. It's one that makes you think, one that has some profound points about existence, but not in a way that gives you an existential crisis. It's very comforting. And with that, I will be ending the vlog here because at this point we have done a substantial amount of reading and we have made some very nice progress on the summer reading bingo board. Now, though we are starting to transition out of summer, and truthfully, I've been participating in Ogtober, so I've been kind of treating it like fall all along, even though we are working on the summer reading challenge. I do still have a few boxes left, and summer's not technically over until I believe September 22nd, and I have a lot of Virgo placements in my chart, so you best believe we are gonna finish this task close to the deadline, but before it. So though this vlog is ending, I will be posting one last summer reading challenge vlog where we formally kiss summer goodbye and transition into autumn. So if you made it to the end, let me know what book you're most excited to read this fall, and I will see you guys in the next vlog. Thanks for watching. Bye.